This is a 1968 BMW 1600, and it's in completely original condition. This particular car was the first BMW sold in the state of South Carolina. It was purchased by George Yvette in 1968. It was ordered, and his family kept it until approximately 16 months ago when I purchased it and have gotten it into roadworthy condition. This is the car that I owned in 1972 and drove around North America. I was lucky enough to find the car in close to its current state with 48,000 miles on it originally. In the last 13 months, I've done everything I can to make it its original cleanliness. With all the original parts, it became an very easy project. The engine's original. All of the ancillary parts, the alternator, oil filters, voltage regulators, those have all been replaced along with the belts. All of the underhood finishes are original. If you go to the other side and you look back, the components are original. The old washer bottle was gone, but with BMW you can purchase these OEM parts, and I decided to make everything as OEM as possible. I still have to put the baffle on and the cover for the summer box for the show tomorrow, but those are left off until I'm finished detailing. And Mr. Yvette, the owner of the car, had contacted Bob Baywater Motors of Florence, South Carolina, who was a Volkswagen dealer, and had him order the car in. Mr. Yvette had brought a 1967 1600 to America from Germany, but once he realized he couldn't put radios and other things in it because it had 6-volt system, he asked Mr. Bywater to order this car for him, and so it became the first BMW in the state of South Carolina purchased, and I believe his first car was actually the first one brought here by an individual. Well, they're the ultimate driving experience. When I got out of the Army in 1974, I bought a car almost exactly like this, drove from West Palm Beach, Florida to Quebec, Canada, across Canada, down the West Coast, through Mexico, and back to West Palm Beach in 5 months with 3 guys in the car camping. We never broke down. We did our own maintenance, and to today, I do my own maintenance on this car. That's enough reason to love a car, is the simplicity, the utilitarian value. And with this particular car and the other BMWs that I own, the vintage ones, everywhere I go, people talk to me. It's a conversation piece. And it's nice to meet the people that are also involved in vintage cars. We have similar interests with cars. Mr. Yvette was one of the first members of the BMW Car Club of America. Now when you look at it, the two have a space in between. They've divided that. This is the original inspection sticker from the last time it was on the road before Mr. Yvette passed away. I like the mechanical sunroof. I like to open the sunroof when I'm going on the Blue Ridge Parkway, and when I'm under 50 miles an hour, the sunroof is just wonderful. I like the fact that it still has chrome bumpers. It has hand-painted emblems. It has an element of craftsmanship that is not being done in today's cars. The car was entirely hand-assembled. There was no manufacturing at those days that was mechanized. This one.
Why is it?
Because it's an earlier, rarer car. The Provence that Mr. Yvette's family provided is very rare, and at a 53-year-old car, it's hard to find things. Here, let me show you the original sales receipt for the car. And here you can see, I guess car dealers haven't changed over the ages. You can see where the dealership was charging the man for a sliding roof and vinyl upholstery, things that came with the car. But you can look down this list of all these things. He charged him $45 for Michelin tires, which there was no choice. They came with them. And then ultimately, this is that was the window sticker. This is the sales receipt. And the sales receipt shows the pre-tax sales of the car is $1,912 for a BMW in 1968. As a testimony of Mr. Yvette's love and care of the car, this is his handwritten notes. And you can't find this anymore. When you buy a car, these things are long ago thrown away. This family kept every last piece of paper. One of the differences between the earlier 2002s and the more recent ones, if you look at the door, if you see the piece of chrome, the chrome door handles, you glance over at the dash, this is actually a piece of brass, chrome brass, and an ashtray. These are not present in cars after 1969. 2 ashtrays is a good thing for a guy that smokes a lot. This is a period correct air conditioner the owner had installed in approximately 1972. The early instrument cluster, which is referred to in the car club as the silver dollars, is all intact and everything works, including the clock, which I have disconnected. One of my favorite things is this. You've got to love that. And when you look at it from on top, through the top, you'll see the polished aluminum runners for the sunroof retractor. This is all, to me, very nice. And compared to the modern glass sunroofs, this is something that I find attractive and classic. Metal instead of glass. If the state allowed it, I would marry the car. All kidding. Sure. But I do love these cars. And aside from this car, I love the camaraderie of the people that I know from the other event, which is called the Vintage, the Oktoberfest. All of us have mutual interests in cars. It's not just the ownership of a status symbol. We all have interest in the mechanical properties of the car and the driving of the car. It's not just an object you own. It's a participation in the culture, the maintenance of the cars. Everyone has a different level of interest. Mine is obviously the vintage car.